Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Let me back up a little. After a lovely week with my pug friend Smeagol, and his mom too, I guess, it was time to head north. I expect that some people would probably hate the idea of navigating airports and being stuck on a plane for several hours on their birthday, but I'd say that's pretty on brand for me. And besides, I was headed up to meet with my friend Jelly, who had a lovely dinner party planned. Jelly, his last name, but everyone calls him that, and I met in Nice. We were both staying in this great hostel and quickly bonded over nerdy things. That and his excellent culinary skills perfectly matched my laziness, and a lifelong friendship was born. Conveniently for my timing and wallet, I was able to get a direct flight from Lisbon to Bristol in England's southwest. I was actually headed to a little town called Collerford right near the coast. A train got me most of the way, and from there I needed to take a bus, which was for some reason so full they actually had a smaller overflow bus, aka a van. So my day consisted of Uber, plane, train, van, and then a car to Jelly's parents' house. My birthday dinner was fantastic, though, with a variety of fancy burgers. This area of England is called Devon, and it's a lot of cozy seaside villages and narrow roads with huge hedgerows. It all feels like a place out of time, that the buildings, towns, and roads would have looked the same 100 years ago, or 300. They probably did. I ended up staying here for about a week, enjoying the pastoral atmosphere and eating most of my meals at the local pub and exploring wherever I could. One of my favorite finds was the Seaton Tramway, a 3-mile narrow-gauge electric tram that runs between Collyton, north of Collerford, and Seaton, on the coast, and clicks and clacks its way through the Seaton Wetlands Nature Preserve. And while it looks like it's really old, it actually opened in 1970. While I used the tram to get to Seaton, I ended up walking up to Collyton. I enjoyed the cooling weather and greenery, and on my way back, walking along the River Coley, oh, wait, I get it. That's where those names come from. I encountered a free-range herd of cows. Now look, cows are fairly docile animals, but they're also big, and there was a lot of them. Now I normally would have let them be, but they were blocking the only gate through a long fence. So I approached them with what was probably an overabundance of caution. They were as wary of me as I was of them, at least at first. But then curiosity got the better of them, and one by one they all wanted to investigate. I think I made some friends that day. On another day, Jelly's lovely parents picked me up and we had lunch in a nearby town of Lyme Regis, which is easily one of the best names for a town ever. There we had some fish and chips, of course, and walked out onto the breakwater, which offered a lovely view of the town and some little fluffy clouds. So at this point, you're probably wondering how it was that I ended up in a parade dressed in ceremonial garb. Well, every year the town of Collingford holds a goose fair. This incarnation dates back to 1980, but they've been going on in and around here since the Middle Ages. In the US, we probably call it a Renaissance fair. While those aren't exactly the same, it gives you an idea, and there are people in costumes and games for kids and stalls for food and trinkets and so on. And at the start of all this, a parade. Features the mayor and some performers and dancers and more. Jelly's parents were on the organizing committee, and I was volunteered to help with the procession. Originally it was going to be me and Jelly up front, but that morning he was feeling too sick to participate, or so he says. And so I, basically not knowing any other participant, probably the youngest by a good margin, definitely the only American, ended up carrying the baldachin over the mayor and his wife. Then, once we got to the fairgrounds, I was up on the stage and the fair was officially declared open. To say it was a unique experience would be an understatement. But no joke, I had a blast. I'm not naturally an extrovert, but I can assume the role when necessary. And once my official procession duties were fulfilled, I assumed a much more natural role for me as photographer for the event. The Goose Fair was written up in the local paper, and they even used my photos. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Soon, once again, it was time to move on. This time, further north. The cheapest way to get from one corner of England to the other is actually to fly, but I really hate taking short flights like that. There are trains, of course, but unlike most other countries with extensive rail networks, taking the train in England is very, very expensive. It was actually cheaper for me to rent a car and drive the whole way. And don't get me wrong, I love a good road trip, and while it is 412 miles to Newcastle in the northeast of the country, I figured it would be a pretty fun drive. I was wrong. It was not. It was cloudy and rainy for most of the drive, and there was just endless traffic. It took me 8.5 hours. Oh well, next time, I'll just take the train. Newcastle is the home to another dear friend, one I actually met before I started my extensive travels. I mean, we still met while I was traveling, but that was more of a vacation trip. It was 2.5 weeks working our way from Hong Kong to Beijing, zigzagging our way up through China on various slow and noisy night trains. Once again, night trains. It was one of 3 semi-guided tours I've done in my life, and it was actually a blast. I did the trip with my friends Mo and Phil, and in our group was Kay and a bunch of other lovely, lovely people. Kay and I, when we're in the same space, tend to talk at a speed that some have found amusing and others more than a little intimidating. We cover a wide range of topics in depth faster than most people can cover introductions. Conveniently, her birthday is just a few days after mine. The choice for dinner venue that night was easy. Allard's. I don't think I've ever directly recommended a restaurant on this channel, but here you go. This place is awesome. They serve a lot of things, but the best stuff is what could best be described as tapas. Most of them have a British take on things and often use local ingredients. So how do these things sound? Ham and applewood cheese croquettes, spiced lamb and a pomegranate yogurt, baked camembert with garlic butter and a red onion marmalade, arancinis with risotto, mushrooms and feta, and so much more. I've often joked that I go to Newcastle, okay, specifically the nearby town of Tynemouth, to go to Allard's. Kay just happens to also live nearby, so I see her too. On one visit, Kay and I had ordered so much food that a second waiter had to bring it, and seeing our table already full of food, mumbled to the other waiter, "This can't be for that table." Yeah, it is. Quit your judging, man. Give me my food. Due to various factors, I was only able to stay in Newcastle for a few days. Then, once again, I was off. First to the metro and then to another train. My temporary destination was Glasgow for a direct and cheap flight to country number 60. The airplanes here probably give you a pretty good hint where I'm headed. But that's the next video. That's gonna be a good one. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff. It definitely helps. And thanks for watching. See you next time.